Somehow, with all of the major injuries they've faced in 2025, the Chargers have 10 wins already, and that should put Jim Harbaugh in the Coach of the Year conversation.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Droegemeier, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day as part of the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you to all everydayers out there for making your first listen. David, what do we got today?
Daniel, for the Chargers to have a coach that has been able to figure it out no matter what the problems are, it is a true wonder, and it is definitely one of the reasons why Jim Harbaugh should absolutely be in the Coach of the Year conversation. You know what also helps with that? Having one of the best defenses in the NFL. And is that defense a Super Bowl caliber type defense? That's definitely something we've got to get into. And the running game, very, very important for the Chargers, especially with Justin Herbert and his mending left hand. Can that running game continue to roll?
They're going to need it to offensively with the issues that they have, but today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. And David, it is Buy or Sell Tuesday, getting into the biggest Chargers storylines and overreactions, and I know Chargers getting to double-digit wins, a lot of people having to look back on their season predictions and do some reflecting. There's a lot of overreactions going around right now, especially with the Chargers just ending the Chiefs season. And we have here from Big Geo who says, buy or sell Jim Harbaugh for Coach of the Year. David, are you buying this?
I think that he absolutely is legitimately in the conversation. I think when you look at what he has done this year, 8-2 in the AFC, 5-0 in the AFC West, without both of your starting tackles, without both of your starting running backs for most or all of the season, 12 different offensive line combinations. I mean, it just doesn't matter. No matter what you throw at him, no matter what you throw at his coaching staff, he's been able to find ways to win football games. It is incredible. Just call him DJ Khaled because all he does is win.
I think that's 12 starting offensive line combinations. I think Popper in the last game said it was something like 22 different combinations total as far as the in-game replacements as well. So obviously that has to play a big factor in it. And I do think he should be part of the conversation, but I do think it's kind of like a lot of the glamorous NFL stats that are given out where they like a certain type when they're trying to pick this award. You know, like when you're talking about MVPs, you're not going to win an MVP nowadays with anything less than probably 13 wins, right? Like it is a hugely team stat and a all the time quarterback stat, right? Some awards are just like that. Coach of the Year, obviously, they're all coaches. There's no different positions that are going to win Coach of the Year. But it does usually go to a newer coach, right? A coach that's perceived to be overachieving by a lot. And I think that's where kind of the Chargers' 11 wins last year hurts them because, they probably will get to 11 wins this year, but that's when you have that last year kind of what's expected. Now, they have a much harder schedule this year. They've beaten much better teams this year. But that isn't always going to play into the calculus of how they end up making these decisions. So I believe he does, deserve to be in this conversation for sure. But then you look at, last year it's Kevin O'Connell, 14-3 with Sam Darnold. That's why he got it, right? Kevin Stefanski makes a playoff run with Joe Flacco. That's why he gets it the year before that. Brian Daboll makes the playoffs, wins a game with Daniel Jones. Mike Vrabel, #1 seed in the NFL with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. Those are the kind of things that happen. Like the Chargers missing both their tackles are a good storyline, but at the same time, like you could have a 14-15 win Broncos team this year. You have Liam Cohen, who's 10-4 in his first year as a head coach.
That's the guy for me that I think it really legitimately could go to because the Jacksonville Jaguars were 4-13 last year, and now they're 10-4 and sitting in first place in the AFC South.
I mean, look at the team that's one game off the #1 seed in the AFC, though. Mike Vrabel wasn't a first-time head coach, but that Patriots team also had 4 wins last season. So
for sure,
I think that plays a big part in it, right? And the circumstance obviously does as well. but who knows, right? Like the Chargers have a chance to get 13 wins.
Yeah, the story of the season isn't over yet. Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out for these other teams and what they get to, but record seems to have less to do than it does with circumstance as far as the Coach of the Year award goes. Jim Harbaugh is doing one of his better jobs ever. Like, this conversation shouldn't overshadow what the Chargers have been able to do this year, highlighted by beating the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year over the last 2 weeks. So last year they couldn't even take the Chiefs out with both of their starting tackles. This year they swept them. So that, shouldn't underestimate, what the Chargers have been able to do. And Jim Harbaugh has done arguably a better job coaching this year than he did last year in year two, and showing that this team is in the right direction. But let's get to this one here from Ernie, who says, buy or sell, Chargers will win out the regular season. Jacksonville beats Denver, and we will be playing for the division in Week 18. David, what do you think?
I have a lot of confidence in this Chargers football team right now, the way that they're playing, the physicality that they're playing with. They are definitely embodying the nature of their head coach in Jim Harbaugh. Like, it's really starting to look like that type of football team, and well, that's a good thing, because when it looks like that, that means they get to the playoffs, they win games, and they win big games. That's what Jim Harbaugh football teams have done when they look like he is, like they want him to be, like they're in his image, and it absolutely looks like it is in his image right now. Obviously, I think for me, the biggest worry, I feel good. I feel like the Chargers can beat the Cowboys for sure. They've already shown they could beat the Broncos. I know this is a different type of Broncos team that they're going up against, the one that's on a very, very long winning streak. Although I'm interested to see how they're going to do against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup. But it's just that Houston Texans game, man. That's the only game I still feel really, really, really bad about, especially with the way, as we were talking about before the show. I mean, they're hitting on all cylinders. They're looking good on offense and looking extremely good on defense, the most dangerous defense in the NFL. That's not a good thing for the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers are doing whatever they can to win games, and they're doing it at a very high level. But that Houston Texans game is going to be the biggest test in this season for the Chargers. If they are really for real, they'll beat the Texans, and then they can take that opportunity, hopefully, to get a chance at the AFC West.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, because I do think the Jaguars can beat the Broncos. Like, at some point, when you're playing so many one-score games, it's bound to come back and get you eventually. And they've had some fluky wins. Yeah, that one, I mean, they made it through last season, right? And so I'm hoping that it comes back around on the Broncos a little sooner than that. But
yes,
it is the Texans game. And I do think the last 3 weeks will bring 3 different good tests for this team to kind of see where they're at, right? And I think, there's a chance they could run the table. But it's going to be really tough. But I also, wasn't sure they could win the last 2 in a row, or, 2 out of 5 of their last 5 games. And they already checked both of those boxes. So let's get to one more here from Joshua, who says, buy or sell, a win over Dallas this weekend would prove the Chargers can win a playoff game in spite of the offensive line. A loss means they are capped in January because of them. So I'm going to take this as maybe not a Super Bowl team because of the offensive line, because, the only time you're playing in February is if you're playing for the Super Bowl. So, I don't know. I don't know if a win this weekend, David, would prove to me that the Chargers are a Super Bowl team, but I don't think a loss necessarily means that they can't win a playoff game either.
No, I don't think so, but I think what the Chargers have shown us is, they can beat some good defenses. They can beat some elite defenses, right? They just beat the Kansas City Chiefs defense, the Philadelphia Eagles defense. They've got smoked. That's really what's happened. So the Chargers still have that question to answer. They have a good opportunity to show that against a very good, high-powered offense with the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's why I think this is a really good test for them this week, because I know that Cowboys offense is going to be able to put up some points, but I don't think it's the biggest test for this offensive line either, though. I think the Broncos and the Texans are both going to be bigger tests for the offensive line specifically. But having, Super Bowl aspirations for this offense with the, pieces that we know are flawed right now and the issues that they've had, because that's the hard thing, is like a lot of the issues that killed you against Texans last year are popping up again, where it's like the offensive line bad, receivers not getting open, the play calling not good enough to help your receivers get open. Like, all those things are happening. But I do think that if you can show you can go beat a Dallas team that, is going to be hard to keep under 20 to 24, 27 points, that'll at least show that you can keep up when you have to in some of these games offensively, which I think is important because I don't think the defense is the problem. The question is this defense good enough to win the Chargers a Super Bowl? We're getting into all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, player props that are updated as guys heat up, and you can also bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. And the odds are out for this week. And surprisingly, the Chargers are 1.5-point underdogs in Dallas against the Cowboys on Sunday morning. Obviously, they've struggled in some of these early start times, but very surprising considering the track records and what these teams have been able to do over the last couple of weeks. So if you want to be right in the middle of that action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. David, well, we talked a lot about this Chargers team and kind of what could happen down the stretch, but I think a lot of what we think this team can do is based on the performance of this defense and how well it's been playing, because they have been awesome, especially over the last couple of weeks where I would argue that not single-handedly, but they won the Chargers those games. Those last two games against the Chiefs and the Eagles were won more by the defense than they were with this offense.
I mean, game-stealing interceptions will definitely prove that.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about back-to-back weeks, right, where you're ending the game with your defense and, you know, those kind of closers coming through, a conversation we've talked about before, like having those guys who can go end a game. Chargers have had a couple of guys who've done that the last couple of weeks. But I think it does lead to this buy or sell here from Athir, who is not buying that I'm buying into this defense.
Daniel, David, buy or sell Tuesday, an overreaction from Athir. Daniel Wade does not believe the Chargers defense is talented enough to make a run to the Super Bowl. I am buying this. Explain yourself, my brother. I love you.
I love you, Athir. I mean, this is an attack, and it's not even valid, honestly. Like, I think, first of all, it's not the defense at all that I question, right? Like, I mean, we are getting a little bit away from the scar tissue of me watching this team give up 35 to the Jags and give up 38 to the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
And they haven't played an offense of those caliber since then. This week, they're getting that. They're getting the team who's number one in yards per game. They're getting the team who's the fourth best scoring offense in the league. They can prove a lot to me this weekend, and they're going to have to every week, right? I mean, you have a couple of offenses in Denver and Houston with those great defenses, which have been better than the Chargers defense, and those offenses are cooking. It's the offense I'm concerned about. It's not that I don't think this defense is good. I just don't think it's not going to be able to drag this offense through 4 wins in the playoffs. Like, the offense has to come around for this team to make a legitimate run. If they compare the offense that they've had to be good enough to overcome, you know, their defense giving up 24, 27 points, then you're having a different conversation. But somebody's going to score at you at some point. I don't think this defense is good enough to drag this offense to a Super Bowl with the way this offense looked. But this is absolutely a Super Bowl caliber defense. Teams have won Super Bowls with much worse defenses than the Chargers have this season.
There's no question about that. This Chargers defense is damn good. I mean, 9th in points per game allowed, 2nd in yards per game allowed, 11th in rushing yards per game allowed, and only 71 over the last 3 games, which would be the best mark in the league. Also 3rd in passing yards per game allowed, which is something that they have dominated all year. And oh, by the way, they've allowed 12 passing touchdowns all season. Yeah. This pass defense has been an absolute seatbelt to opposing offenses. They've done a great job of limiting the explosive plays, and lately have done a great job against the run. They play a defense like that, they can play with anybody.
Yeah, they can play with anybody. It's so much more about the Chargers offense than it is about this Chargers defense. But I think that's what this game signifies, and honestly will probably be the biggest story, you know, once we get to crossover Thursday this week. It's just, can this defense prove it against a legitimately good offense. Because guess what? We asked that question against the Jaguars, right? Because one of the, had a decent offense going in. We asked it certainly against the Colts, who had one of the better offenses in the league when they matched up. Yeah, they have something to prove. And I think it's about how real those bye week adjustments are. How real are the improvements that you've made? And you're going to go up against a team that's going to be able to push your defense, and your offense, I think, is going to be the most important part, trying to respond to that and having to put up points when they have to, and having, maybe having to put up 30 points to win a game here down the stretch. But let's get to this one from Jose Alto, who says, buy or sell, for the first time since 2017, the Chargers will have 2 defensive players with double-digit sacks with Thule and Odafe Owe. Happy birthday, Dan. Thank you. BTFU. We are recording this. Now it's after my birthday. We started recording this on my birthday, but it's interesting, David. I mean, Thule already has surpassed the expectations that we had for him. He's at 12 sacks already this year. But even after starting off, obviously, as slow as he possibly can in that regard, Odafe Owe has 7 sacks since joining the Chargers. Can he get 3 more in the Chargers' final 3 games?
Absolutely he can. I think he's in an absolutely beautiful pass rushing rhythm right now, using his length, using his speed, his athleticism, his ability to convert speed to power. He has been putting on a clinic the last few weeks. I mean, he's really, really in a groove, and that is a beautiful thing for the Chargers and their defense, getting that pass rush activated. And also shout out to Khalil Mack. I know the sack numbers haven't really been there, but the pressure numbers are crazy. He is still getting after the quarterback, still causing a ton of havoc from that perspective. So the Chargers pass rush really playing excellent football right now. And if they continue that, yeah, I mean, and for Odafe Owe in particular, I think there's a very good chance he gets to double-digit sacks, and that would be a huge credit and testament to him and to Jesse Minter and his defensive staff for putting Odafe Owe in the positions for him to unlock the obvious potential that he has.
It'd be pretty nuts if he ended up with a double-digit sack season after getting traded to the Chargers with 0 sacks through 5 games, right? I mean, that'd be pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Has 7 in 9 games so far with the Chargers, so a little under 1 per game there, obviously. But the reason I would sell it isn't really an Odafe Owe thing. It's more just about the offensive lines they play, because they have 2 really good offensive lines they're going to play in the next 3 weeks with the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos, who, this is going to make you sick. Bo Nix has been only sacked 16 times so far this season. Dak Prescott has only been sacked 24 times this season. That's a combined 40 times. Justin Herbert's been sacked 49 times.
I know. I hate that.
You knew it was going there.
That makes me sick.
You knew it was going there. But yeah, it's more about the offensive lines now. I mean, he could do it. He's been a great addition, but 3 sacks in 3 games is tough already. Does he get 8.5? Does he get 9? Yeah, sure. I don't know if he's getting 10, but it would be cool, because last time it happened was Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram.
Man, I hope
combined
so,
for
man.
that. Yeah, it'd be awesome. I mean, it didn't seem like there was going to be a chance, and Khalil Mack obviously would have better sack numbers had he not had an injured reserve stint, right?
Sure.
Like, that plays a huge part in it too. But I do want to get to this one here from Jackson, who says, buy or sell, Odafe Owe is the best trade Hortiz has made, Joe Hortiz, in his tenure as GM for the Chargers. What do you think?
Well, before I get into this, isn't it beautiful to actually have enough trades to actually be able to talk about this question? Because in the
have
previous
enough good
regime,
trades where he's not the obvious answer. Yes, absolutely.
It is pretty awesome. I think the only one in conversation for this is, I think people need to remember, the Chargers got Elijah Molden for a 2026 7th-round pick.
Yeah, value.
That's incredible value, and for me, he's really been able to unlock how they're able to use Derwin James. They don't get to use Derwin James on the back end if they don't have quality safeties, guys on the back end that can allow him to play fast and physical. So, and also just value-wise, it is really, really close. Obviously, edge rushers, they get paid a lot of money, and I think now, when you look at the prospects of the edge rusher position, before the trade and after the Odafe Owe trade, I think you can see that there is now something in the future to look forward to at the position, which there wasn't really before.
It'll be interesting because Thule can get extended after
outside of Thule, right? Outside of Thule.
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, but to have both those guys, I mean, we knew the Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack thing was going to have an expiration date, right? So for Thule to take his game to where he has at this point, and to have Odafe Owe as potentially the future there, it'll be interesting because I don't know if they're signing both of those guys with what they're going to command if they keep playing.
I mean, they got the
way
money,
they have.
So we'll see.
Well, we'll see, obviously, but I mean, they've been obviously pretty frugal, I would say, for the most part. Other trades, Taylor Heineke, Elijah Molden, you brought up, Austin Deculus, Trevor Penning. Those ones aren't going to be in the running. If we're talking about player trade, I would say Odafe probably is there, right? But I think it also has to do with, okay, is he going to re-sign, right? Because if you're doing it for a 1-year rental, obviously changes the math a little bit. Of course. I would say if it's allowed, I think the best trade that he's had is trading up for Ladd McConkey.
I mean, I knew you were going to say that. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, to trade up for Ladd McConkey, that trade gets you Ladd McConkey and Tarheeb Still, who are both on 4-year contracts for a very
that's excellent, so obviously.
You could also say trading up for Oronde Gadsden II, who's been one of the best tight ends in the league so far this year. So it's crazy that Odafe isn't the runaway favorite with how well he's played, but that just is a testament to the trades that have worked out. And also, like, Tom, this is why we always wanted you to make trades, buddy. You know, like, man, it can work. Yeah, you know, Joe Hortiz.
More swings. Hello.
Right. But we do have more to get into, including why the Chargers need so desperately to continue to lean on this running game and how it should shake out between Omarion and Kimani. Vidal coming up on more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. Ever feel like your money just disappears each month? It happens fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances. Because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. Rocket Money finds subscriptions you forgot you were paying for and helps you clean them up quickly. I can't tell you how much of a service that was to me, and I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm gonna say it. There was a subscription I was paying for twice between me and my wife. Both of us were paying for it, and we didn't realize it, and I felt terrible about it until I got Rocket Money. And I also like how Rocket Money automatically builds budgets based on your past spending. It keeps you on track without overthinking it. With a baby in the mix now, it's something that helps really so much because of just the new expenses you find out about. But you can take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. David, we still have some more buy or sells from the everydayers, and thank you guys again, as always, for making us your first listen. We appreciate all of the fans who have, made this our most successful season ever and have been continuing to ride with us in this roller coaster season that has had a ton of ups and downs, and the Chargers seem to be peaking at the right time, and I don't think it's any coincidence that it is very much in lockstep with their ability to find a way to run the football game in and game out and getting productivity from their running game, which is only going to get more and more important down the stretch. And now we have this buy or sell here from Kevin McNeil, who says, buy or sell the run game. They need to lean more into it going forward, starting to heat up. David, are you buying or selling the Chargers need to continue leaning into this run game that has been much better?
1,000% they need to continue leaning into the running game for a myriad of different reasons. Number one, it helps you stay ahead of the sticks and in possession of the football. Number two, it helps protect your quarterback and get the ball out of his hands quickly and get it into the hands of a running back. And number three, it creates balance in your offense, which is critically important, especially in the playoffs. Get it figured out right now, so that way when you get to the playoffs, you already have that balance. We already saw against the Houston Texans last year that if you can't run the football, playing one-dimensional offense is really, really hard, and it looks like it looked in that football game. Balance is absolutely important. You got to keep running that football. 29 for 95 against the Chiefs, 3.2 yards per carry average. Not a lot there, but I think Omarion Hampton looked good when he was running the football. He had some really good runs. Against the Eagles, they did fantastic. 169 yards, 4.4 yards per carry, and they ran it 38 times. So that's definitely what you want to do, and I think that's something, like I said, just get it figured out now so that you have that rhythm and you're rolling into the playoffs where it really matters.
Yeah, I mean, even over the last, even with that 94-yard performance in the last game, they're averaging almost 150 over their last 3 games. It's been much better, and the thing is like, even though it's not hitting 100, the Chargers have had games like that where it's like, it doesn't end up being 94 yards, right? It ends up being 26 yards on 12 carries.
Yeah.
So, we go look back at the Jaguars game, right? They had 42 rushing yards because they were getting blown out. Like, a lot of the ability to run the ball was being in the game. Now, this last game, one of the impressive parts about it was the Chargers got down 13-3, and they were still able to lean on the running game. Now, part of that's because Justin Herbert had a very improbable touchdown drive where he aired it out before the half, but still, yes, they have to lean on their running game, and it has to be effective. They have to be getting something out of it to protect Justin Herbert as well. They're going to have to pass the ball, and they're going to have to pass the ball better than they have. As much as they need to lean into the running game, their best strategy is to run the football well, play good defense, for sure.
Yeah.
But you're getting 2 of the top 5 teams in rushing yards allowed with the Texans and the Broncos coming up in the next 3 weeks. Both teams top 9 in yards per carry allowed. You're going to have to be able to throw the football too, because guess what? You talk about being one-dimensional. To be two-dimensional, you have to be able to throw the football too, right? So just running the ball isn't going to be enough. It's great to be able to do it, and it's looked a lot better. And honestly, I think this is a good point from Mark Allen, and we're not going to get fully into his by ourselves, but he had one. We should continue to give the extra linemen like Trevor Penning, for example, more snaps to give Justin Herbert extra time to throw and improve the run blocking. Yeah, absolutely, right? That is something, David, they've been able to lean into,
Definitely.
Right? Getting Trevor Penning on the field. He had 13 snaps as an additional offensive lineman in this last game. He had another 13 snaps playing right guard in place of
making use of that trade one way or another. I love it.
And it's crazy because we didn't think they would be able to, right? If he wasn't in the starting lineup, we didn't think we'd be able to get to see it. Now, the thing is about the throwing part of it. You're very limited to be able to throw the ball in that formation. It almost has to be like you can keep them honest, but when you have Scott Matlock and Trevor Penning and Will Dissly all running routes with, maybe one Trey Harris or whoever the one receiver is, you're not going to win a lot of matchups that way throwing the football, and you have to pitch them really off guard. In the last game, we saw Justin Herbert throwing it wildly to Trevor Penning, who was trying to draw a pass interference call. So there's downside to it too, but if the other team can't stop you with 6 offensive linemen on the field, beat them down.
Yeah, keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't care if they know you're running, right? Like, you have to have something. You have to get something out of it. I love that, and using him, using those extra.
They did it last year. Do it again. Keep doing it.
Yeah, and this year it feels like they're leaning much more into it out of necessity. But yeah, it's been working. So let's get this one from Andre Montano, who says, shout out also, bold prediction came true last week. We talked about it a little bit on the reaction show, but still shout out. Buy or sell, Kimani Vidal and Omarion Hampton both need 15-plus touches a game minimum going forward for the rest of the season. David, what do you think?
15-plus touches, that's a lot. I like it, and I feel like it definitely is something that where – maybe it's not 15 each, maybe it's 30 and, they're going to find that some kind of mix between the two because, I think they're still ramping him up and they're still trying to get Omarion more involved in the game plan. So I think that's something that, we would like. And I like both these guys. They're both playing good football. They're both a good complement to each other. I think Omarion Hampton, with that bruising physical style, just mixed with the ability to turn on the jets when he gets to the outside, man. Like, it's really cool to watch him. And then Kimani Vidal has been just playing good football. I've seen him with a couple of really good pass protection reps, allow Justin Herbert to get some throws off, him being able to run in between the tackles, him be able to get outside. Like, both these guys are doing what they need to do, and Kimani Vidal has been like a godsend. He's been a savior for this Chargers running back room while Omarion Hampton has been trying to get back. But I think it's definitely something where the Chargers offense looks really good when these guys have the football.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, they might not touch it 15 times each, but like in the last couple of games, both guys had 12 or more carries in the last game. It was 15 for Hampton, 12 for Vidal. Both had more than 12 against the Eagles, 13 for Vidal, 12 for Hampton. So like, it's been very equal, and I think it has to be because if you saw that, you'd be like, okay, well, Omarion Hampton's, playing as much as Kimani Vidal. That's not the case.
No, it's not.
Kimani Vidal is still, basically outsnapping him 2-1.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, that becomes problematic, though, because Omarion Hampton had not a single pass protection rep in this last game. You can't have it be a total tell that when Omarion Hampton's on the field that it has to be a run. The other way that you lean into that, though, you start throwing him the football more, which is something we haven't seen as much since he's been back. That's a good way to do it. You want to blitz because you think it's going to be Omarion Hampton, up the middle, send him out. Run that play action, right, where he's jetting into the flat and you're able to kind of, get those mismatches until they can't always assume that anymore. But right now, Kimani Vidal is not going anywhere, and I do think that keeping them both fresh has worked well. I would also say, though, that it has to change up a little bit, but I do think that Omarion Hampton should be getting more of the carries just because of you're right. Like, it just looks different, man. Like, it looks different when he has the ball in his hands. Like you talked about yesterday, a couple more tough 3rd and short conversions, right, which is huge. And then you have that 26-yard run where he just gets a sliver of daylight and he's just gone. Like, he covered those 25 yards so quick. Like, it felt like it was a 15-yard carry because that's how quick he got to 26.
But
right?
you could
Like,
see the Jets just get absolutely turned on and see him explode down the field. And I think that the field conditions, the weather conditions are going to be ideal over the next couple of weeks for him to get the most amount of carries. So he's going to be able to play in Dallas. He's going to be able to play at home at SoFi, to be able to be in be in climate controlled environments. And I think that's going to be a great time to increase his snap count. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, totally. Like, it just looks different. And that's the crazy thing is, like, Kimani's been so good and showed the home run ability, not just with the long touchdown he had a few weeks ago, but also in the 60-yard catch he had against the Eagles, right, where, he catches a little pass and he takes it 60 yards down the field. So I think both guys have earned their keep in this offense. I think as far as carries go, though, yeah, you would like to lean it into, more into the Omarion Hampton territory, right? And Champagne Benny had one buyer, so Omarion Hampton will get 60% of the touches in the Cowboy game. I'm good with that. Kimani Vidal averaged around 3 yards per carry the last 2 games against tough run defenses. And Omarion Hampton has averaged more than 4 yards per carry against those same tough run defenses. So definitely lean into more Omarion Hampton, but Kimani Vidal is going to be out there. And I mean, he didn't give up a single pressure in the last game. That pass protection was pivotal for the Chargers being able to do anything offensively. But that's going to wrap things up for today's show. The good news is if you didn't get your buy or sell on today, tomorrow we're getting into our Chargers mailbag. We'll be getting into some other stuff as well, but you can still hit us up at Locked On LAC to give us your Chargers question there at Locked On Chargers on Instagram or our Locked On Chargers Facebook page. You can also call into the voicemail line like Athir did at 323-524-7924 and give us your 30-second Chargers question there. I also want to tell you guys a little bit about something new that we have going on. It's the Everydayer Club, something extra that we're doing to just get a little bit more involved with the everydayers out there. $5 a month, $50 a year, but basically what it is you get an ad-free version of this podcast. If you're tired of listening and you want to just streamline the process, you can do that now at the Locked On Everydayer Club at lockedonchargers.supercast.com. And also, we have a Locked On Chargers exclusive Discord channel, which is a little bit more unbuttoned than what we do on here. We've been having some fun with the everydayers on there. So check that out if you're interested in that and you want just a little bit more, even though you do live your team every day with us, and we appreciate that. But make sure you guys are back here tomorrow for our Chargers mailbag, getting into some of the bigger topics we didn't get into today. But until then, guys, take it easy and go Bolts.